Shalom, and welcome to the Drake and Sonic podcast. I'm Drake, and my Sonic for today is...
You're too slow.
I identify as the president from the Sonic games.
Do you identify as the clown shoe president from Shadow the Hedgehog?
If he's the one with the general who has the two different eye colors, then yeah.
The gun commander, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, the gun commander's not the president.
No. The president who's in control of the gun commander.
Well, I think in the Sonic universe, gun are supposed to be
His
like
shoulders.
I think they're supposed to be the US Army. I don't really know quite what they're supposed to be.
I mean, the fact that they named their military thing, I think is really giving off some vibes of, yes, I am a 4-year-old and I'm gonna call this thing gun. And I name my entire army gun.
Tiggy, why are you
Eating the mic?
Why did you just swallow your mic?
I didn't.
It sounded
Actually,
like you
you
did.
did.
Oh, yikes. Hang on. Input device. I've changed my input device.
Oh my god, you
familiar.
sound so much better.
TD has left the bathroom.
Well, now the listeners are going to be treated to some low-quality audio for the beginning of the podcast, which is fantastic.
Ooh. We've got an good old-fashioned bait and switch.
Indeed.
The president's shoulders are made of concrete and has been described by the commander as supple.
Which president?
Why do you always find fanfics?
I'm not. I'm on the president from Sonic Adventure 2's fandom website.
Is that a different president than the one in Shadow the Hedgehog?
No, it's the same one.
It's the same one.
Okay.
Yeah. But the president and Sonic were once lovers.
Makes sense.
I see.
On the Sonic the Hedgehog subreddit earlier today, which I am in because obviously,
Oh yeah.
I saw a clip from the Japanese dub of Sonic X that said that it's of the president saying that Sonic might threaten him to be the next president of the United States.
Well, does he?
And seeing that we
actually
are
fulfill the requirements?
Well, seeing that we are the Drake and Sonic podcast, what do we think about a potential run? What do we think about Sonic 2028?
Well, is Sonic 35 years old and a natural-born US citizen? These are the questions we should be asking.
He's not 35 years old. He's supposed to be like 16 in the game.
Well, then he can't run for president.
But
I'm sorry to say.
What's 16 in hedgehog years converted to human years?
It's probably pretty damn old.
Exactly. He's a wise old hedgehog.
But I have some headcanon around that.
Oh, okay.
I think that in certain games he ages up a bit, but that's just my headcanon. Because in Sonic Frontiers they gave him a bit of a man voice. And I think he's got to be at least 30. He's got to be at least he's got to at least have a nagging wife and stuff.
Now, I would say
the president.
Young Sonic.
Who the fuck is Young
or Classic
Sonic?
Or whatever. They did the time travel game, and they went back in time, and there were 2 Sonics in the same game.
Sonic
Does he mean
Generations.
Sonic Generations.
But it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not so much young Sonic as it is old design Sonic.
Okay. Well, I've on the Wikipedia page, trusted sources only on this podcast. his first appearance was in 1990, Sonic the Hedgehog. So he's not actually old enough to run yet, but he will be next term.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying Sonic 2028.
Okay, in Sonic 2028.
Now,
I mean,
I've also just accessed the Sonic the Hedgehog subreddit. I've seen a post that I think, Ben, you might find interesting. Someone might have figured out who Cream's dad is, and I want your opinion.
I thought it was gonna. I thought it was gonna be like some something different.
Similarity. They both have big ass ears, similar face patterns.
Is it
white snouts with button noses?
Is it
an
Big
affinity for
Chungus?
smaller creatures and similar ear patterns. It is Big the Cat.
Oh.
Think about those similarities. Both Cream the Rabbit and Big the Cat have big ears. Got similar faces. They both have a white nose. And they both love tiny creatures. Like Froggy.
Froggy.
See, I would say,
but that would make
Cream
Cream
initial guess would actually make more sense.
But that would make Cream like not full rabbit.
Yeah, I think Big Chungus.
I think actually... Big Chungus. That's why I said that first.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a plausible theory.
We're dissenting from this post.
Yeah.
I'll downvote.
We dissent.
Okay, I downvoted it to represent our dissent.
I drink with my mouth and I dissent.
The viewers aren't going to understand that reference.
Yep, and that's why I made it.
Destroy me? You and what moustache?
Well, I hear with my ear and I'm on Discord.
I say.
Hello and welcome to the Hear It, Ear and Kittens podcast.
I'm going to keep reading this Sonic quote out until I get a reaction.
I think as an April Fool, we should play our character.
You and what mustache, Doctor?
What does he mean by that? Is it supposed to be like you and what army? But he's changed it to moustache.
It should be like you and what badniks. That would be a better quote.
What about Roger Craig Smith? What are our thoughts on him?
I think he's come into his own as a Sonic voice quite well.
Yeah.
I didn't like him so much in Colors and Generations, but in Frontiers he's quite good.
Okay, so
and also he's just a I think he's just a good voice actor in general. He is Ezio in Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh.
He is Deidara from Naruto. What else is Roger Craig Smith in?
He's Batman in Batman Unlimited Monster Mayhem.
There you go, he gets around.
And he's in Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
Sonic Boom!
Oh, he's also in Ben 10.
Who does he play in Ben 10?
He plays Diamond Head, Way Big, and Steam Smythe.
I used to watch Ben 10 when I was a kid, and I do remember Way Big, but I don't remember the other ones.
I think Diamond Head was from the earlier series.
Oh, no, I do remember Diamond Head. He was like the green guy, wasn't he?
Yeah. You see, my longest lasting memory of Ben 10 is the fact that I want the car from the later series.
Which one?
The green one with the black stripes.
Last year I went through a phase where I got like reacquainted with the whole lore of Ben 10, and there's quite a lot going on. But I never watched it from like. I remember I kind of grew out of it when Ben 10 Omniverse started.
I just want the car, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, the alien powers are cool.
But you want the green Chevy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real.
You want the green Chevy.
Right, I'm not hugely into cars, but if I could like randomly generate a car with my brain, I think it would look somewhat like that one.
Really?
Yeah.
So, fun Drake news. To fulfill the other half of the podcast.
Hello, I am Drake, and welcome to the Drake Podcast. My Drake for today is...
I'm Sir Francis.
I was going to take that one.
Is it a young duck?
Or a dragon. A young duck or a young dragon.
I'm a young duck. Quack.
Who am I supposed to be then?
To be fair, if you... Young Dragon sounds like a sick rap name, just saying.
Young Dragon.
Yeah.
Who the
Young
hell?
Dragon.
Yo, it's Young Dragon. Yeah.
I'm on famousfix.com. Let's find a famous person with the last name Drake.
Wait, Drake Bell. You can be Drake Bell.
Oh, yo.
Yeah, I'll be Drake Bell.
On a certain playlist, I have Drake Bell's cover of Gucci Gang.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, I'd argue it's better than the original.
Do you want to hear my fun? Do you want to hear my fun Drake news?
Enlighten me.
So, coming to us from the Power of Complex, written by Tara. There's a fucking ad in the way. Sorry. Mahadevan. On the 1st of July, this very day that we are recording, Drake is embracing the 69 God title. In a clip posted to the Instagram story of his affiliate, Drake and his friends are bowling. The video zooms in on the scoreboard, which reveals the nickname OVO Head chose, not the 6 God, but the moniker Kendrick Lamar bestowed upon him, 69 God. The camera then pans to Drake, who knocks down the remaining bowling pins from the scoreboard. It seems he's pretty decent at the recreational activity.
So what am I supposed to extract from that Drake is good at bowling?
I think it's actually a critique on the news media, because that was so vapid and full of absolute nonsense. Oh wait, hang on, sorry, it goes on. I just have to scroll past 6 ads.
Do you think he channels Anita Max Win when he plays bowling?
Yeah.
Yo, I'm pausing this for a second. There's a Lego Eggman coming out 1st of August and he's in the same set as Tails and Shadow.
There's already Lego Shadow on his bike. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but look at I'm gonna send a link to this Lego. Look at this Lego Eggman. I'll post a picture of Lego Eggman, actually. We will show the listeners.
Is it like a modern...
We'll have to do editing.
Is it like a modern Eggman? Yeah, you just give me...
He's got cool legs and the big moustache.
You just given me editing to do.
It's your favourite job,
he
isn't
can
it,
he can be in the thumbnail.
No, the thumbnail... Well...
We've already decided on the thumbnail.
Oh my god, it's modern Eggman.
He's so good.
That's great, because up to now I think they've only had the classic design.
They need to do a Lego the Big Chungus. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know how they'd market that.
No, they wouldn't need to.
What's the thing that he says before he becomes Big Chungus in the clip? Ain't that out of hold of my wife? That's what.
Yeah, he'd have a half-eaten carrot and PlayStation 4 controller be his other accessory.
It's time, Big Chungus. Yeah.
Big Chungus, Unana.
I am a meme of Fat Bugs Bunny. Unana. I am the meme that is most funny. Unana.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on with Drake news.
Yeah. After
you were so rudely interrupted, this is Drake chat.
I'm sorry.
Kung Fu Kenny called Drake the 69 God on the chart-topping "Not Like Us," in which Lamar raps "freaky ass, he a 69 God" repeatedly at the end of the song.
Must have been on the beat, ho.
I did pause to not say a word that I don't want to say.
Well, even if you did say it, that would definitely be another job for the censor. I mean, you
True.
could
See,
say
I
it.
don't like giving you work.
You could say
I
it, but
could.
that would be more work for me because, I mean, more for your protection, I would definitely be censoring that. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I have never, and unless the world completely changes, will never say that word.
it's never come out of your mouth.
I don't think so. I mean,
Interesting.
if I was asleep and said it, I don't know. But the only thing I'd do when I'm asleep,
Why would you sleep say it though?
because I speak in French when I'm asleep. So you
Yeah,
never
what
know.
dream? Yeah, what dream?
Oh,
what dream
same.
were you having?
I don't know. The only time that anyone has actually heard me speak in my full-on sleep in the last 2 years or so is French. So, I don't think the chances are likely anyway.
What did you say in French?
You don't want to know.
The person listening doesn't understand French, so I don't know.
Désolé.
They couldn't even repeat. So, right. Anyway, the sobriquet appears to have a lot of meanings, with the most obvious that 69 is a popular sex position. Wow, I didn't know that. Thanks, news article, for telling me. As previously mentioned, it's also a play on Drake's self-appointed six-god nickname and looks to be a jab at the Toronto rapper's sexual proclivities, including allegations of paedophilia, which Dot alludes to on Not Like Us. 6ix9ine God could be a reference to Tekashi 6ix9ine, who previously pled guilty to sexually abusing a minor and is viewed as a snitch following his cooperation in a RICO case. Yeah.
What
There
was
you
that
go.
fucking "Hey there, Delilah" line? It's like,
Wagwan Delilah.
but what was it after that? Wagwan Delilah, something something. I'm so cheese.
Toronto City.
What's it like in
Yeah.
Toronto City? I'm so cheesed.
Yeah. Well, that's so we've covered both Sonic and Drake, and so
It's
now
not
it's
the
time to
Drake.
hit
It's
you with
not
the
the Drake
outro.
and Sonic podcast without it.
Mm.
Yeah. That also may have been my surprise topic, surprise Drake news, but
What an
don't
excellent
know.
surprise topic.
yeah. So now we can hit you with the outro.
Yep.
I feel like
Thank you for listening to the
Drake.
Drake and Sonic podcast. It's now time for the
Oh,
Hen N
hey,
Friends
it's-
podcast.
yeah. Only it's my job to outro.
No, it's my
You
job
can't
to
outro
outro.
both of
No,
them.
I can outro the Drake and Sonic
I wanna-
podcast.
No, I want to
No,
outro.
I
don't
always
get to do
outro.
anything.
You do
I
the
don't get to do
outro.
anything.
Intro. I do the outro.
do I
Clark does the
get?
mid.
He gets the midtro.
You do the mid.
There is no. This is the midtro. We
because you're mid. Yeah.
Right, that's
So
it.
I think in the
That's
chapters,
it. Yeah,
what
you're
I'm going
mid.
to do, I'm going to start it with Drake and Sonic podcast as the first chapter, and then will be the actual intro of the real podcast. Oh shit! I just nearly knocked my microphone over.
Right. So shall I outro the Drake and Sonic podcast, and then Chris can introduce the midtro.
Do I sound as loud as I did before on my microphone?
You do.
Yes, you do.
Excellent. Good, because I knocked it.
Thank you for listening to the Drake and Sonic podcast. I've been both Drake and the president, and by Drake I mean Sir Francis Drake. Yeah, explain that logical constituent.
And I've been
now
Shadow
I'm the
the
real life
Hedgehog.
president.
You're going straight to hell.
And our
That's
third member, and who have you been?
Disgusting
I've been
black
dr-
creatures. Get out of my sight.
I've been Drake Bell. From.
And who else?
Drake. I've been J. Cole.
What's your Sonic character?
my Sonic character.
I've been.
Yeah, because he's been Shadow the Hedgehog and Drake the rapper.
You've been.
I've
Okay.
been the president and Sir Francis Drake, and you've been
Oh.
Drake Bell and
I've been Drake Bell and Cream the Rabbit.
But wait, who's my Drake character?
Drake the rapper.
I'm just. Wait, but I
You
thought I was.
silly.
I thought I was Drake, as in like the duck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can be Drake as in the yeah.
So then
Well, anyway. Thank you.
who is the Champagne Pappy himself?
I don't know, but it's apparently really hard being him.
So
will
I
take
hear.
this title- I will take this title onto myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, Pappy.
So yeah, thank you for listening to the Drake and Sonic podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for more Drake and Sonic news.
Okay, now we
yeah.
need a bit of a intermission.
This episode of A Podcast has been brought to you by.
Who's our sponsor?
Thank you. Make sure to check them out in the description down below.
I worry if we mention a brand, then we'll get sued.
Yeah, that's why I
So I'm going
paused
to
again.
invent one. This
Yeah.
episode of the. I got nothing.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Go on, Clark. This is your midtro. Be
No.
mid in it.
No,
Go
this
on.
is the intro of
Be
the Hen
mid.
N Friends podcast.
Well,
Right.
yeah, but it's because we've been recording.
my
But
opportunity
because
to
I
be the mid.
because I like Chris, I'm going to honor him. Seeing that I did the
Excellent.
Drake and Sonic podcast, I'm going to honor him with the intro of the Hen N Friends podcast. Go on.
Yeah. Go on, Clark. Be mid.
One more thing. Should I title
that's my
this?
intro sound.
Should I title this the Hen N Friends podcast episode 8 plus the Drake and Sonic podcast episode 1?
No, because I think the search engine optimization would actually go down the gut.
Okay, so the Drake and Sonic podcast is a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, understandable.
But
Intro.
I feel like if we include Sonic and Drake in the title, we may attract extra listeners that are looking for that pop culture duo
but
in a podcast form.
but we could also put certain politicians in the podcast too.
Right.
Let's
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
How about we get to the next topic?
Right,
when
do
we get
your
to the
right,
next topic.
right.
Chris,
Do the intro
Chris,
to
be
the Hen
mid.
N Friends podcast. Be mid. Do it.
Hello, and welcome to the Hen N Friends podcast. I am your co-host, Chris, and my hen for this week is.
Well, that would be me.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
And the other friend for this week is.
I'm not the other friend. I'm the real friend. The real friends were the friends we made all along the way.
Maybe the real Hen
And
N
I
Friends
haven't
podcast.
changed the burial plane.
Maybe the real Hen N Friends were the Hen N Friends that we henned and friended along the way.
Yeah.
Unfriended.
Yeah, that was a coherent sentence you formed there, which is more than can be said for some
Joe
people.
Biden. Yeah. That's the intro.
And with that,
that,
That is
what's
the
our
intro.
what's our first topic, gentlemen?
well, the first topic I think, as we've alluded to just then, is the first presidential debate in the states of America that are united sometimes.
But sometimes they can be quite divided, I feel.
That's why I said that.
Well, they were only officially divided for 4 years back in the 1880s. So.
Oh yes.
Okay. Official fact checkers once again at it. But
So
I
how do
am
we?
the official fact.
So how do we?
we have
fi-
all given audience to this debate. We have all watched it, and we have our thoughts about performances. That's a bit of a generous term, I think. But yes, we shall. I think we should start really with discussing the main character.
Would you like
Joe
me to?
Biden.
Would you like me to begin?
So Ben, what did you make really of Joe's performance? What do you
I'm
think
the main character.
No,
what do you
I
think
am.
were his strong? What do you think was his strongest response to one of the questions given?
What was the fucking quote again? Could you please read it out?
Which quote?
The one where it's like the one where he's like barely
Beating
fucking
the COVID.
Yeah, the COVID
Beating
and then
the
like
COVID.
beating Medicare. What's like? Can you read that one out verbatim, please?
I will read that out verbatim. We'd be able to wipe out his debts. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, childcare, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, thank you, President Biden. President Trump, well, he's right. He did meet Medicaid. He beat it to death. And he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security.
Yep.
Yep.
He was right in the way that he finished that sentence, and it's a shame.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, honestly, how I interpreted Biden's performance is that behind the incoherent ramblings of an insane, crazy person, there were actually some quite good rebuttals to the standard Trumpist talking points, I feel.
Mm.
It's a shame that they were buried in whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah, I think really that's what I took away from the debate is that neither of these men are really qualified to be president. Donald is disqualified because he is literally insane, and
He's also a
And
criminal.
there's only one felon on that stage, and it's
Exactly.
him.
he is a criminal, and he's also, I feel like in this cycle, he's leaned more into this populist, anti-democratic lean than perhaps he had in 2016 or 2020.
Certainly, because I think
He's
he knows.
really lent
I think he
into
knows
the
that's what.
retribution.
Yeah, I think he knows that's. Essentially, those are the kinds of things he can say, and he can just say whatever the fuck he likes, and his base will believe it. Essentially.
That and immigration. That was the only two things that I really took away from Trump's side is that he's really good. He did the economy well, and he thinks he knows how to play money. He also knows how to shut borders and make it so that no one comes into the country.
But for example,
And that,
like when they were talking about the Ukraine stuff, I think that Biden's points, against the whole Trumpist, isolationist kind of ideology were actually very good. For example,
Yeah,
I
this is
thought
what
he
I was gonna say,
actually made some really good points, buried
but
underneath
this is the thing.
the rambling.
This is the thing, is that Joe Biden is equally, I don't think, qualified to be president anymore. Not because he's insane, but because I feel like, especially this debate, has really highlighted how his age has just meant that he's not capable of being the strong communicator that the president of the United States needs to be. I don't think anyone of us took away that he's nuts. He hasn't got a grip on what's going on in terms of understanding.
Right,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's like when
going
people when
on.
people were talking about this debate, like that's what I was expecting, and I'm glad that wasn't the case. Like at very least, he was somewhat coherent, but you could tell that he was, struggling. And if America's going to have another 4 years of that, well, that's a big if.
well,
Probably not.
that's a big if in two ways.
I think that's what I really took away from it, was that he's not insane. He just, I don't know whether it's because he, his team said he had a cold, so maybe he was ill and tired, or whether it's just age, I think, holding him back. But he cannot communicate nearly as effectively as he could even in 2020.
Yeah, even back in 2020, like
There's seen a significant decline. I think that it's people that are trying to deny that is the reality are lying to themselves, because it's pretty obvious to anybody watching it. That is not the same man that was elected.
Yeah, like if you it might be pop history and it might have been debunked, but like there are reports that in the 1960 presidential election, Kennedy mainly won over Nixon because he did better on TV, because he wasn't looking sweaty, because he was looking healthy and vibrant and youthful and powerful. And Nixon wasn't. And while you'd never accuse Trump of being youthful, he he carried himself with a stage presence. He
He
carried
speaks
himself
clearly.
with
Yeah.
yeah. He doesn't like at the end of every sentence, and like he does. Biden looks a lot older now than he did 4 years ago, and obviously I can't blame the man. He's gone through one of the most stressful jobs of the planet. But
in his low 80s.
he should have. Yeah, like even Obama got aged quite poorly in those 8 years, and Obama was very young in terms of the most recent presidents and presidential candidates.
What I would say though is that Donald is not much younger, but he looks a lot better. I don't think any of us can deny that. Donald is not that far behind Joe Biden, but the way that he comes across and the way he looks so much younger.
Remember, he did all the tests, as he said.
He did. He got.
He did
all the tests.
No one's
Joe
done
would
the
fail
test
all of
better
them.
than him.
Exactly.
Yeah, and no one's done the test better than Trump.
Exactly.
He knows what a cat is. He knows what a dog is.
I mean, he has a high IQ, the highest, some would say.
Wow.
I think he could actually watch Rick and Morty and understand every single joke.
But half of it was just them saying to each other over,
Who has the
essentially
better
arguing with each other over who is the worst president in the history of the United States.
Also,
Which is what political debate has like it's where it's got to in America now. It's
But we
really
mustn't
quite
forget
amusing.
though. But who do we think has the better golf handicap? Because that was a literal point of argument at the end.
I think they both wouldn't maneuver that well on a golf course.
As someone who's only played mini golf, I feel like I'm not partial to say.
I've also only played mini golf. What about
Right.
crazy golf? I love crazy golf.
Oh, what about Crazy Frog?
Bing, bing.
Yep.
But anyway,
Can I please just read you this golf exchange because it is one of my favourite things.
okay, and then I'll move on to my kind of interesting
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna
possibility,
I'm gonna read-
let's say.
Yeah, I'm gonna read Trump's response to a question and then the golf bit because it's all like it flows after each other. So the question is, former President Trump, to follow up, you'll be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve? Trump's reply is, well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I like him to say take one, just one, a really easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And we knock on wood, wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in a very good shape. I feel I'm in as good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test, and you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor.
He always
and then I
says
took another
things
one.
like that.
And I took another one.
He's a great
similar
guy.
one. And one of them said
It's like name dropping the OGs in your rap mixtape.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
Shout out Puck,
Yeah.
shout out Biggie, they're great guys. Now I'm gonna go in on this beat.
And then I took another one, a similar one, and one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace them. Thank you. President Biden, you're going to see, Biden then says, you're going to see he's 6'5" and only 225 pounds, or 235 pounds. Trump inaudible. Biden, well, you said 6'4", 200. Trump inaudible. Well, anyway, just take a look at what he says and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it? Trump, that's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all. Biden, I was 8 handicap. Trump, yeah. Biden, 8. But I have, you know how many? Trump, I've seen your swing. I know your swing. And then the moderator says,
Yeah, and after
Trump,
that, he's like, let's not act like children.
yeah, Trump, Let's not act like children. Biden, you are a child.
Oh,
That was like
at least
was
he's
the
still
second
got
to
that
last
though.
question.
He's still got
Pretty
that in
much.
him.
That was like the second to last
like-
question, and they're arguing about who has the better golf handicap.
I will say that Biden has the better little like quips and jabs and stuff. Like,
He can still
Yeah,
just
because
about
didn't
do
he
that,
say-
which is good.
didn't he say like "shut up, you idiot" on the last debate?
In 2020, the first debate was a mess, and he did say like, "Shut up."
Yeah, he did.
Will you shut up, man?
Yeah,
When
but
did
you
he-
shut up,
when-
man.
Come on, man. When did he say?
That's
Come
what
on,
he says now.
come on, man.
He says that constantly.
Come on, man.
There's like a couple of things he says all the time. By the way, is the one he loves. He loves saying,
By the
"And
way,
by the way."
by the way.
No, but you got to do it in that really
Oh,
raspy.
he also
By the way, by the
likes
way.
listing his points. He's like, 1, you're a poo-poo head. 2, I funded the American Veterans Association more than you ever did.
I
3,
think
We're gonna
shut
get
your
a-
mum.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason for that, though. I think when his team is doing prep with him, that's how they're teaching him the lines. Like, okay, this is what you need to say. Number 1, you need to say that he is a bad guy. Number 2, you need to say that he eats hamburgers. And number 3, that he slept with a porn star. And that's how he's remembering it. He just listed them back again. I feel like
Yeah,
that's kind of one of the reasons why
I mean,
the
that's
one he
split
missed
apart.
is where they
That's
say
a
that he's
memorization
orange.
technique.
Yeah.
Next, they just need to say he's orange.
Oh,
Number 1, he's orange. Number 2, he's a man. And number 3,
He's bad. But anyway, here's my interesting hypothesis. So,
What is your hypothesis?
what if you slept with a porn star and then paid hush money so that your pregnant wife would
Donald Trump said in a presidential
find out.
debate, "I didn't have sex with a porn star."
This is true.
I did not have sexual relations with that
Oh,
woman.
actually, maybe that's
Miss
not as weird as I
Daniels.
thought. Maybe that's not as weird as.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is.
Maybe that's
I
not as
think it is weird.
unprecedented.
Well, I
Maybe
don't
that's
think-
not as unprecedented.
Oh,
I don't think it's unprecedented, but I think it's also a flat-out lie because it was during the civil trial. That wasn't even a point of contention. Like,
Can
they
I just say,
accepted that-
though-
the Trump side accepted that was the reality of the situation.
getting a blowjob in the Oval Office has got to be an achievement unlocked.
Literally.
Bop, bop. It's got to be. But anyway, what if, say, Biden stepped down and the Democrats like rushed to replace him now? Do you think that would be a good idea? Because I kind of take the position that it probably wouldn't.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. In that,
Right.
if you don't,
Yeah.
this like I feel like I was gonna say it could only get better after that performance, but I don't think that's true. It could get worse still. Like,
Well,
they
I
could
think
be...
that history would judge Biden quite well if he had a bad performance and, recognised that he wasn't fit for the job anymore and stepped down then and there. There would be a sort of better view of him than if he, continued obviously unfit and then lost to Trump and then, all sorts of shenanigans happened under Trump.
I think that they should send Commander Biden in instead of Joe Biden.
But then again, do the Democrats have the stomach for like an intense leadership race now where there's like,
I feel
no obvious heir to Biden?
I feel like there's 3 or 4 people I think that are in the running
Yeah.
to be the next candidate. Like in
And none of
2028.
them are Kamala Harris.
None of them are Kamala Harris because she's just unpopular. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. Well,
this is their issue,
that's
is
part
that
of the problem, isn't it?
they can't sideline her because they'd be seen to be sidelining the first black woman to make it to vice president. And be
And
like, well,
as Biden once said, black, white, all colours, all backgrounds, you know what I mean? Come on, man. Gay,
but
straight,
I think
everyone deserves a shot.
I feel like the main contender I would expect to see getting the Democratic nomination would be Gavin Newsom.
No, and also poor
Or-
kids are just as poor kids are just as talented as white kids.
Yeah, poor kids just entitled as white kids. That's an absolute corker
Gold
from Biden.
from him, go on,
What was the other one?
Newsom. You
this is
think?
one- I'm trying to find a Biden quote. Biden.
But no one likes Newsom, not even in Cali.
But he's a very talented orator.
Buttigieg is maybe.
Yeah, that was where my mind first went to.
I don't
but then,
know. This is my favorite one, by the way, Ben. It was, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
That was to Charlemagne the God as well. So funny.
But to defend my speculation of Gavin Newsom, is he has been the most vocal, out there sort of surrogate for Biden, in that he was doing those debates on Fox News with Ron DeSantis, just governor v governor, with Sean Hannity as the moderator, which is just playing with fire.
Yeah, and I think he sort of has that younger, spunky sort of anti-Trump Democrat that would make him quite well placed for this election.
He's got good rain recognition, and he was the first, like, he was in the spin room after that debate, like, supporting Joe Biden. Like, he's positioning himself to be the next one. It's him, or I could see maybe, who is the governor of California, by the way, or Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, who is another widely recognized Democrat, who's seen as doing quite a good job, and is quite a confident and capable public speaker, because that's kind of what American politics boils down to, is who can speak the best.
Yeah, who's the most charismatic and who does all the media stuff the best. I think it's hard to argue. But I think it's hard to argue that that's one thing that helped Trump become president. You know, his oratory skills.
Well, he's an entertaining person to watch and listen to. That's the problem they have against him, is that people will think, oh, I like him because he's funny.
Yeah, and I think in this... Well, I'm not in the UK, but I think in the UK people think the same thing about Farage.
No, I'd say more Boris than Farage.
Boris
had that.
Farage
is more hateable.
No, but I think amongst his support, Farage has a lot of charisma. I think he is, like, similarly, you know, seen as a very charismatic populist in the way that Trump is, I would say.
But I don't think he has the right charisma. I think Boris did, and that's what got him elected. But Farage, he's just too unlikable.
I mean, he's more divisive, certainly. But he's liked, but he's liked by his base. So
let's focus back onto America before moving on to the UK.
Yeah, we're derailing a bit.
In that, I feel like Joe is not going to step aside.
No, and that's the thing. No. He's already said that he essentially doesn't have the intention of doing so.
But I think this my concern is that his wife Jill seems to live in a fantasy land, because after the debate they had like an after party, and Joe was there, and she congratulated him onto the stage. I was like, "Oh, well done, Joe! You know, you answered all the questions." You know, and it's like, well done. That's kind of what you're supposed to do in a debate. What are you going to do? Stand there silently?
But I heard
Mitch McConnell did.
True.
Well,
I heard that one of the only people that could tell him to step down would be Jill. But
yeah, and she seems to think that he's fine.
She seems to have no interest in doing that. So,
well,
I think what we need to do is we need to get Commander to get rabies and then bite Biden, and then he suddenly dies, and then he doesn't have to step aside because he's dead. There you go.
Context,
so you would wish death upon Joe Biden?
For context,
only in the funny way.
TD, do you want to explain who you're on about with Commander? Because I feel like some people might not know that Commander is a dog and not a person.
yeah. Commander is the Biden household dog, who is somewhat notorious for biting the legs of Secret Service members.
The reason why I didn't take that seriously is because I feel like if you bite Donald Trump, that's not really winning the election, is it? You know what I mean?
What if they
Right.
just both get rabies and die? That
not
would
a free
be
and
fun.
fair
Are
election.
you insinuating that Commander Biden has rabies?
No, rabies.
No,
I think the laptop should
you
run.
need to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hunter.
Hunter's
Actually, no.
laptop.
Hunter Biden himself could run.
Well, that
Hunter
doesn't
Biden
really
himself could
like
run.
the whole
he's a
convicted,
felon.
the whole convicted felon leverage kind of falls to pieces. Then, doesn't it?
yeah, no, because then you have two convicted felons. So
It's
either way,
felon-
your
felon on
president, convicted felon.
It's felon on
Yeah.
felon, baby.
Well, this is a good
And
question.
then
actually.
the laptop can be the VP.
Well, this is an interesting thing actually you brought up, TD, which is that Trump can't vote for himself in this election because he is registered to vote in Florida, and in Florida, felons can't vote.
But it's because he's only a felon in New York. Does it actually?
I don't know. Actually, it's a very
count.
question. Is it
Yeah, because
is it a state felon or is it a national felon? In terms of like
Yeah.
where were you convicted? I don't know. That's a good question actually.
I think there's
Let's get Governor Rod on and we'll ask him.
because there's the federal stuff and then there's statewide stuff, and then because obviously I think if you're convicted as a felon in Florida, you cannot vote in Florida. But I'm not sure if you're convicted in like Maine or in Trump's case New York, whether you'll still be able to vote in Florida.
I could
Because
make a
sometimes
joke.
they don't even extradite to each other.
I could make a joke about felons in Florida, but I'm just not going to go there.
Okay.
Do you think the alligators receive voting rights in Florida? I think they should.
I take the view that they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have enough sex with the humans to be half human anyway. So
But to lead on from your point, Ben, about Biden standing aside, well, I think there's an equal chance that, let's say hypothetically, that Joe Biden won.
Yeah.
Do we, as a cast, see him making it to the end of a second term?
No. I don't think he will.
there's got to be betting odds on that.
Well, you can bet on anything, as demonstrated in the UK, but we'll get onto that later.
But in the way that
Um,
American politics works, or in the way that American politics work, would Kamala Harris then have to take over, or could the Democrats choose to have a leadership
No.
race midway through the
no.
campaign?
It would be her.
No.
It would be
It
her.
would have to be her.
Because
Well, that's part of the
because
issue,
way
isn't
that
it?
This is the thing, is that the American structure is quite different to us in that the president, despite being, let's say, Republican and Democratic, they're not really like, there's no structure in terms of, oh, they're the leader, so we can depose them and get rid of them and get a new leader. They're kind of separate from the party in that regard.
Well, it's sort of like a combined head of state, head of government type thing,
It's,
in a way
well, it's
that we
kind of
don't
like-
really have.
it's kind of like a presidential monarchy system where, like, the president is the king or queen for 4 years.
Yeah.
They're kind of once they're there, they're kind of untouchable. There's not a lot you can do to get rid of them.
You can impeach them.
Yeah, but it's never going to happen. Like, especially in this current climate, it's not going to happen.
No.
Impeach Biden.
Mm.
Impeach Biden.
Well,
Stop the steal.
some Republicans did actually try, but I think that it fell.
Yeah, it
fell
didn't get
apart.
very far.
MTG tried
Yeah.
to get it.
But you know, like plenty of countries have a separate head of state who doesn't do very much. But
Yeah.
in America, it's kind of it's kind of a weird combined position.
But see,
But what would my only question would be what would actually happen if Biden died now?
they would
They would probably do a leadership race, no?
no. So the way it would work is that Kamala would take over as president. She would get to choose a new VP, and that would be the ticket they would then run onto. Their ticket. But this is what I was going to get at, is that I think, honestly, personally, right, I think the best choice now is Joe Biden is not going to stand aside. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Unless
I never said that
seriously
I
ill.
see it happening, but I was more
But what
posing the...
I think the Democrats are going to have to swallow the poison and dump Marmelo, because if they put in as the VP, somebody popular, they could. It would be a difficult argument to make, but you could try and convince people that Joe Biden's not going to make it to an end of his second term. Let's say you've put in.
But I don't think his heart could take it.
I don't think his heart could take it. It's a seriously cruel thing, but like
right, that's the thing.
Let's pretend that AOC is really popular.
Oh,
if
no.
he chose AOC as his VP, people that might draw votes to him because people would be able to say like, oh, well, I don't think Joe's going to make it, but I really want AOC as VP/president. Do you see what I mean? Like, you could try and convince people to vote for, even though they don't want to vote for Joe, they're voting for the VP in the expectation the VP will then succeed.
Yeah.
It's a cruel argument,
but
at the same time,
then you would be sidelining a woman of color, and
that's the issue.
And that doesn't look great, does it?
No, but that's the problem.
But which way would you even swing that then? Would you go a more centrist Democrat, or would you go a more left-wing Democrat?
I would just go pure popularity.
Yeah.
Who is the most popular, like, within the nation?
But is AOC popular, or is she just popular with a certain group? I'd argue that it's second.
She was just an example of like pretending that she is popular. I would say they would probably, if I were them, I would focus it. Who is popular in like Pennsylvania, North Virginia?
Oh, what, in the swing states?
The swing states, because that's basically all that. Fundamentally, now that's all that matters in the US in this election. The blue states will stay blue. The red states will stay red. There's like 7 states that are at play. You've got to just try and focus group it into who is the most appealing to that group, because that will guarantee you a victory. Californians.
So you pork barrel those few states then? Well, it wouldn't be pork barreling because you wouldn't be giving money, but you'd be picking a friendly face.
Yeah, it'd be someone sort of folksy with an industrial past, probably with the unions, that sort of thing, as opposed to a more like a New York. I don't think a New York Democrat would go down particularly well with that group, or like a Californian maybe might not work too well. But you see what I mean?
No Buttigieg.
Midwest.
Pete Buttigieg maybe then, because Indiana is sort of up there with that group, but he does have. He's gay, which means
I was about to say that. And this is America we're talking about.
I just don't think he could ever win something bigger than mayoralty.
Could you imagine certain Americans if there was a gay president?
Okay, right. Will there be a first man first because they elect a gay person, or a woman?
Woman.
Or a straight woman?
Woman.
Yeah, I think a straight woman before there would be a first man.
Because think about this, right, TD. A woman doesn't go against your Christian values.
Well, unless your values are very Christian.
Well, no, because she's not in the kitchen, obviously.
I was about to say that, Chris. That depends how Christian your values are.
That's true, but then I feel like Pete Buttigieg is like even more anti-Christian.
True, because he's gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on which weird thing that you dislike more, gay men or women as a whole.
I feel like, I don't know actually, I feel like there's plenty of nutters in America that dislike both of that.
Yeah.
Well,
and I'm sure there's...
I'd argue that no Republican dislikes women. They just dislike women in power.
Working. Yeah.
Women with opinions.
Because of the hormones.
True. Wait, no, not true. Why did I just say true?
Yeah,
I'm cancelled now.
So you know, we had the first episode where we were like, yeah, we're not like Andrew Tate. Ben's just completely undermined our point of view.
True. This is now the Alpha and Male podcast.
Yep.
I'm Alpha, and I'm Alpha, and my males for today.
No. This is
I'm Sigma.
No, this is the Alpha Beta podcast. Ben's the Alpha. We're all the betas.
This is true.
No, I'm Sigma.
Okay.
The Hen N Friends Podcast.
This is the Greek letters. This is the Greek letters podcast.
The Hen N Friends Podcast supports radical feminism. Are we all in agreement?
Well, what should we class as radical feminism? Because that could
Yeah,
lean
yeah.
into
Radical is.
that could lean into anti other things.
Kill all men.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
Yeah, nah, that's chill. We be chilling with that one.
Yeah. But to go back to the debate, I feel like Biden had a disastrous performance because he had good arguments that he'd clearly been taught by his team, but he didn't. I don't know whether he
didn't
got them
deliver
confused
them.
in his head. I think quite a lot of it comes down to he had so much going on to try and remember that points were getting confused, and that's why we got this sort of jargled nonsense where he'd start answering a question with a response about immigration, and then it would veer into Medicaid, and then it would veer off into something else, and it's like
Right, it's like
where are
you.
going with this?
It's like you fed centre-left talking points into an AI.
Basically, yeah.
It was trying to spit them out, but it was faulty or something.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. And then, but I feel like we need to talk about how Trump is kind of insane.
Yeah.
In terms of,
Well, it was
So
quite
every
funny.
single topic
One of the
he brought back to immigration.
But it was quite funny when there was the question about the January 6th. He just didn't answer it. He completely avoided it.
Yeah, he just started talking about immigration.
Yeah, he just started talking about random shit.
because that's his strongest thing against Joe is that, the southern border.
Yeah.
So just keep hammering that home. But I feel like he did also mention quite a lot of things that were fake. So he had things like post-birth abortions. That doesn't happen. Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, the governor of Virginia saying something about we'll set aside the baby and decide what we do with it later.
Yeah.
I don't think by decide what we do with it later, he was talking about whether we're going to kill the baby. I think he was talking about whether it's put up for adoption.
I think certain Republicans definitely think that's what happens in blue states.
Yeah. And he was
Wouldn't be
also,
surprised.
to go on to January 6th, he was talking about how Nancy Pelosi declined the National Guard, and so really it's her fault. Which is not
Oh, of
true.
course, yeah, that was his counterpoint. Well, it's not like you're the one that stoked the whole stop the steal thing.
No, it was Nancy.
True.
She did it.
Well, I mean, it was quite funny how he tried to. Well, I mean, I'll give Trump one thing. I mean, he did have a point with how the Afghanistan withdrawal was incredibly embarrassing for America. He was right about that. But whether you can attribute that purely to Biden, I'm not sure.
Well, he was the one. Donald was the one that negotiated with the Taliban and told them when they were going to be leaving. So really, it's his fault.
Yeah.
Yes, the withdrawal in itself was a disaster, but Donald was the one that told them, "Oh yeah, we're leaving in whatever date it was," which basically said to them, "Right, well, as long as you're ready for this date, you can take over again." They were both to blame.
And it also pulls you into that America-centric view of every conflict in the world because Putin did invade Ukraine because of weak Joe. Because of the weak Palestinian Joe.
Oh yeah, that's the other one we need to get into. I've got one more, which is this is Donald talking about the trade deficit with China.
Well, you're the one that started. Well, he's the one that started the whole trade war to begin with.
Right. So this is the question, right? Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans die from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What would you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need? Trump. To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with him or something.
He's a Manchurian candidate. I missed that. Okay,
Clearly, I didn't see.
When I listened to the debate for the first time, I missed that. Oh.
It gets even better, right? And then, Jake, we're doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country in every way. And then we had to get tough, and there was the drugs pouring across the border where it started to increase. we've got great equipment. We bought the certain dog. That's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen. The way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very very low numbers. Like what does that mean?
I'd love to be inside his head
God.
and just like see how it works, see what makes him tick.
But yes, I think Ben, if you want to talk about the best point, I think Trump made the whole time.
Which one? I can't remember.
I don't know what he said in the end of the sentence. And I don't think he did either.
No, I remember. So it's that
that one and Palestine.
Joe wanted a ceasefire between the Israelis and Hamas, but Donald wanted to see it done. But because Joe wanted a ceasefire, that meant that he was a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a weak Palestinian. Which is artful, I feel.
I feel like every representation out of every representation of the Israel Gaza war,
he's genocide.
That
Joe.
is actually the most. That is actually the most accurate portrayal known to humankind. Like, I think he really what everyone is thinking on the topic. Dong just summed it up, just spoke it, and that is the truth. Clearly, no sarcasm here at all.
I don't think so either. I think he was genuinely on topic, on point there.
Yeah,
where he said to Joe Biden that he's not actually Irish, he's Palestinian.
Yeah, but I think to quote him directly, here we go. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one. And you should them go and let them finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one. I mean, the thing is, he has a little bit of a point there, and then he goes off about this stupid Palestinian thing, which is that Israel is the one that wants to keep. Like he's made the accurate point, which is that neither of them actually want to stop fighting.
No. Yeah, I don't know why Joe said that Israel want to stop fighting. They definitely don't want to stop fighting.
Oh,
and they accepted his peace deal, which they didn't.
I've actually heard about this. It's contentious because apparently behind closed doors they keep on saying, "Yeah, we'll accept your peace deal if Hamas do," but then they keep on going up to the public and saying, "No, we didn't say that." But then they'll go back behind closed doors again and be like, "Oh no, we are serious about accepting your peace deal." And then it's just a fun game of double talk.
Well, I think with the things that happen, the Israeli public are quite jaded by the things that have happened. So I guess Netanyahu and his cabinet want to be seen to see the whole thing through, I guess. Make of that what you will.
But what we have learnt from this debate is that Joe Biden is a Palestinian Manchurian candidate, and that I'm really actually impressed by. I didn't know that Palestinians could actually stand for candidacy.
And do you know what?
Manchuria.
Let's end this section with a quote from Joe Biden. Black, white, all colours.
No, we need to finish. We need to do the one last point about. I don't know what he said.
Oh, go on. What is the last?
I'm going to read out Joe's paragraph and then Trump's response. Here's Joe's question. What I've done is I've changed the law. What's happened? I've changed it in a way that you're now in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office, and I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers. President Trump? I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. And this is the thing, is that
I mean,
he can make that. That's convincing because you've just listened to Joe mix up. He's clearly what he's trying to do there. He's had in his head these talking points and he's mixed them up, and it's just come out as a jumbled mess. But it plays into this argument, which is that he can't form a coherent sentence and doesn't know what's going on.
Maybe he's got confused identity as an Irish Palestinian Manchurian.
Maybe. There's so many freedom fighter movements.
True, and he is
And it
black,
does-
white, and all colours.
But yeah, the whole like him gaffing his sentence is literally it's the psychology going back to the first presidential televised debate again. It's the appearance means more than the actual policy.
Yeah.
And
People
I think that's a problem you can't remove from politics globally.
People are more interested in how you look than what you're saying.
Well, because ideas
and
need...
how you say it than what you're saying.
Yeah, I think ideas need marketing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I feel like, something that you can't really take away from politics, especially populist politics.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is my concern: is that Trump's populism. I don't feel like Biden is good enough at talking, good enough orator at the moment to effectively refute and disprove these things that Trump's saying. He just lets them slide.
Well, this is the whole thing. He's very miscast for this moment in American history, which honestly, there's quite a lot at stake in this election, and Biden is really not the right person to, be fighting this battle, and that's the real crux of the issue. I think
out of all the most recent presidential candidates, I think he is probably the worst one to be dealing with this. Obama would have dealt with it far better. Al Gore would have dealt with it far better. Clinton would have dealt with it better. I
think, though, I think you have seen Joe move a bit more left in the last sort of, in the span of this term. You've seen him sort of veer into more left-wing talking points, about corporate greed and things like that. They weren't things that he was saying before, which is
because he was
afraid.
I think he's afraid of losing the progressive left because of his stance on Israel.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's maybe that's just more of a hook than anything.
Yeah. But I think that unless anyone else has anything else to say on the topic of the presidential debate, I think that kind of wraps up.
Yeah. Well,
I
want to bring back
section.
It's not the piss break this time. This time it's the drink break. It's the drink a mouth break.
Wow.
Because
you're drinking with your mouth?
Because I'm very thirsty, and it's the drink a mouth break.
Okay, you better. When you come back, give us a detailed overview of your beverage, but only when you come back.
Okay, bye. What are we talking about next, by the way? Or are we talking about anything next?
That's a good question, which we will try to solve upon your return.
I'll let you decide that while I'm gone. Bye.
Yeah, we're going to brainstorm.
Okay. So, do you feel like you have anything else to discuss on this fine, for you, Drama Monday?
We could discuss the gambling.
You like gambling?
No, have you heard about this?
I heard that there was some kind of scandal over gambling recently.
So some of the top members of the Conservative campaign, so not MPs, well, one was an MP, but most of them not MPs, but working within the party, as in head of campaigns and such.
Oh yeah, they bet on when he would call the election for, and they bet about 2 days before he called it, and they got. It was an incredibly small payout. To be fair,
stupid though.
It's a topic that I don't particularly care about because it's
we've just covered it. It's about, so there we go.
It's about £500 worth. Which
what
is
else is
nothing.
Really? I mean, that's kind of.
I mean, there is the entire British election lead up.
It's kind of a deal, though.
Well, I think that is something we can talk about because my surprise topic, my unironic surprise topic is the polls and the polling data, and can we actually trust that? Because polling data has been, so I think we could talk about that for a little bit.
Really, could we?
in the piss break monologue. Yeah. Okay, what's your beverage? What's your beverage?
It's
It's a
something.
beverage.
It's something
Drink.
that, as you said in the first
it-
podcast, there is a lot of in Flint, Michigan.
He's
But
drinking lead.
in Flint, Michigan, it's not potable.
Maybe what I drank wasn't potable.
Potable, you mean?
Unlike my golf ball, that's you had to ruin the joke before I finished it. You silly.
Oh well, that's why he said potable.
Get it?
Yeah. So you're drinking lead?
Pure
Yeah.
lead. Plum bum.
Fascinating.
Pure titanium.
Plum
I am
bum.
going to be titanium man.
I am titanium.
Well, I think
I'm
think the conclusion
titanium.
This
the conclusion we
record
came
goes
to
up to
during-
Judge Floyd.
Right.
I up we can
Ben,
have.
do you,
I feel like David Guetta's words in the current climate. You know, they're echoing.
Mhm.
I see.
Shout out to his
Do
family.
you wanna hear a potential the final discussion of the cast that me and Clark have
Dreamt
kind
up.
of settled upon working? Well, no,
Educate
it was
me.
my surprise topic for this week. So obviously, with the UK general election coming up, people are pretty much saying, "Oh, like it's a done deal." Like Tories are massively unpopular. They've kind of floundered in all of their stuff. But like the only concrete evidence we actually have for that is polls. And now, historically, polls, they've been sometimes useful and sometimes completely useless. Now, do you think we should trust polls? Do you think we should even keep doing polls? What are your thoughts on polls in general?
I think that the polling data provides a good indicator for national mood in terms of there's a pretty consistent story being told throughout these, which is that the Tories are unpopular. Labour is not hugely, in terms of, people are not flocking to Labour because they're drawn to it, they're just pushed away from the Tories. But I feel like that's as far as this polling data can really tell us. I don't think you can use it to predict the seats because there's such a wide variation between these different ones as to who's going to get what. I think the safest conclusion you can draw from them is that Labour will win, but how many seats is up in the air still.
Right, and that was kind of what I was about to say. Like, I think they are useful so long as you draw from them just general public opinion, not like, oh, this is definitely how the election's going to go or anything like that. But I think a more interesting point on that is, I think what Labour need to avoid in this election is people having, that very mentality that I've just said, you just said, where they get it in their heads, oh, Labour's going to win anyway, so what's the point if I vote? I think they need to just encourage people to vote as much as possible. Like, focus their campaign into getting people just to go out there and vote.
Well, I think the thing is that these polls that are suggesting that Labour's got this landslide are kind of working against them, and that the chatter here is that Labour campaign headquarters really don't want these polls coming out, because all it's doing is saying to people that were thinking about voting maybe for the Greens or other small parties is, oh, you can do that because don't worry, Labour is still going to win. But of course, if everyone starts thinking that, then Labour doesn't win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it also kind of helps them in a way, because if the Tories think, or if the Tory voters think that, oh, we've lost, there's practically no point voting, they're not going to vote. So it doesn't
It is a double-edged
solely
sword, but
disadvantage Labour.
I do think that the biggest issue that the Labour Party has in terms of electoral politics is that the left vote in the UK is split three ways. You've got the Lib Dems, the Greens, and Labour.
Yeah.
Whereas the right vote, up until very recently, was kind of consolidated into just the Tories. You had, the remains of UKIP for 2019, but they weren't really doing a lot. You've seen this fracturing now from Reform, but before that, there wasn't really anybody else on the right, which is why the Tories would consistently win, even with lower overall votes, because their vote was not broken up into three places.
But the thing is now is that Reform are polling so high. Will that translate into seats? I'm not overly convinced that it'll translate.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, I'm not overly convinced it'll translate into a ton.
No, it won't. But if you look at it this way, right? Let's say the Tories are on 20% and the Reform are on, I don't know, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Together, that is still 36 against the Labour's current 40.
Yeah.
So if you merge those two parties back together, which is how they would have been before Reform had this big boost, this would be a much closer election.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of the issue.
And that's why I think that
the Tories are having, I suppose. But then it makes you wonder, like, will the Tories continue? Like, will the Tories just accept Reform continuing to grow, or will they try and form some kind of alliance with them? Because it seems like a lot of the Tories have very different opinions on what to do with Farage and Reform. They don't quite know how to handle him.
I think Farage, at least at a certain point, was angling for his base's reintegration within the Conservative Party, because I think he started out originally as a Conservative.
Yeah, he did.
And if you look at the Conservative party or whatever it was, either last year or a couple of years back, and he's dancing with was it Suella Braverman or one of the
the Tory Party conference?
Yeah, there you go, that thing. And he was dancing around with one of the former ministers and whatever, and it's like, I think he's angling for reintegration.
I think the problem is, though, like with these polls things, is that because I'm only 22 years old, I'm not old enough to remember a lot of older elections and know what the polls were saying before them, for example. Like, I didn't, like, I don't know, like, what were the polls saying in 2019? Were they saying that there was going to be a massive Tory landslide? Does anyone remember that?
I don't remember either. The only ones I remember are the 2016 one where it was an upset where Trump won.
You mean when I'm talking UK, I'm talking UK politics.
UK, absolutely none.
Well, yeah, because Trump.
The only ones that I actually remember.
Was it that Trump didn't win the popular vote, but he won in the?
No, he didn't win. He
won in the
vote.
Electoral Congress.
He won the. Yeah.
Which is a whole fucking thing, isn't it, in American politics?
Yeah, if I think first past the post is bad, I think that system is abysmal.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of bad things about that. Even I won't defend that.
Yeah. But I think, like, in terms of British polling and British stuff, I do not remember.
The only ones I know is that the polls predicted the 97 Labour landslide. I do know that, but I don't know.
But they got the 92 election completely wrong.
What were they predicting a Labour?
And I think didn't they also get the Brexit vote wrong?
Was it still Neil Kinnock who was the leader of the Labour Party then? Yeah.
It was, and it was John Smith, and then it was Tony Blair.
But John Smith came down with a case of dead.
Yeah. But I think the problem with these polls is there's always an extrapolation, and with an extrapolation, there's always you're always assuming things.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why there's this instability with them. And it depends on who you ask. If you ask,
it depends on when you ask.
Well, when you ask, and also who you ask, because if you ask, let's say, a random sample of 50 people, and out of that sample of 50 people, 45 were originally Labour voters and they're still voting Labour, and they're the 5 were all Tories, right? That was it to suggest to you, oh, well, there's loads of people voting Labour. But if you then took another group of 50, another random group of 50, and none of those people had ever voted Labour and weren't planning to this time, you then say, oh, well, now look, all this Labour support's gone.
Mm-hmm. What if your Pokemon went to the polls?
If your Pokemon went to the polls, then maybe you get something different.
True.
But what I'm saying is that unless you
why don't they conduct the polls on Pokemon Go? Like
they should.
Actually, they should.
They'd be very
set up a Pokestop. Set up a Actually, no. Right. Get rid of the election day. Get rid of every single Pokestop and gym other than those at the polling stations.
You're speaking in language I've not cared about since 2016. Right now.
Actually, no, because the kids wouldn't bring their voter ID.
But another thing that I'm going to use this as a springboard to go into something that annoys me. You know when people say, get out there, like, please remember to vote. Like, most of the time, what's annoying to me is they don't mean remember to vote. They mean remember to vote for my guy.
Mm.
And that's, like, kind of annoying and disingenuous to me. Because it kind of plays into this whole symptom that we have in Western democracies today, where it's almost like people don't care about the state of the democracy. They just care about their ideas getting into power, if that makes sense. And I don't really like that. Because as I said, it to me it seems a little against the pluralistic political system that we have. And I'm not a big fan of that.
I mean, I'm a big proponent of the idea, at least in the UK, of if you really dislike everyone that much, just spoil your ballot, because then you can at least say that you voted. You know?
I mean, that's better. That is better than not voting at all. It's hard to argue.
Yeah. Like, I know there are certain countries that have a none of the above box.
But, you know...
And I know...
for me, when I say remember to vote, it's like vote for who you genuinely think is the best candidate. Don't just vote for my guy, because more than getting what I think is right into power, I care more about the, you know, functioning of our democracy. That's much more important to me. So therefore, if I were to say to someone, remember to vote, I sincerely mean vote for who you think is right. But I think a lot of people don't view it like that, and this is not a left-right issue. It's just it exists on both sides, and I'm not a big fan of it.
My proxy. Oh wait, hang on. No, it's just been the weekend, because it's right now coming up to 2 p.m. in the UK.
It is 2 o'clock.
Yeah, okay. Because I was like, hang on, my proxy vote I haven't heard anything about it yet. But that's because it's 2 p.m.
Mine said it was set up a while
Monday.
ago.
I had to reconfigure because I originally thought that after I registered as an overseas voter, that the proxy that I've nominated, it would be their local polling station that they could vote on my behalf at. I was in fact incorrect in that assumption, and I would have ended up sending my proxy to do a 3-hour drive if they wanted to vote on my behalf.
Well, that's not an issue for me. So
yeah, I've now had to contact someone from where I most recently lived in the UK, who will then go and vote on my behalf. I should probably actually tell them to check their emails, because
so the way
they
it
might
works
not.
is you'll be registered to vote at your last UK address. So it's not like you can pick anywhere you fancy. It's where you were last.
Yeah, well, I deleted my last Manchester address off the register for that reason. So I put it as. Oh no! I just revealed that I lived in Manchester, except
Oh no!
Except I don't
shit.
care, personally, and changed it to my most recent address.
Yeah, I should have done that because it would have made my life easier. But whatever.
Well, I did that when I
Like-
registered to vote this time. So
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm sure it will all work out. But other countries don't have proxy votes. I know the US doesn't.
That's because the UK believes
Kind of weird.
because the US believes that leads to sorts of shenanigans. With their
gerrymandering.
vote. Exactly.
Yeah.
Stealing the ballots.
Stop the steal.
Mm.
Well,
But it's not really an issue here.
shall we? Does that bring us to the end?
I think that brings
I
us
mean,
to the end.
I think there is one last thing.
Well, we're
Speaking
on.
of, like,
we're on 1
stealing
hour
votes.
25, which is not too long. So if you want to talk about one more thing, then I think we've got some time.
Yeah, because there's like when the voter ID law first got introduced, there was a backlash, if somewhat minor, against it, saying this would disenfranchise certain people. And I'm just interested in that. I feel I know your guys' opinions on it, but yeah.
Well,
Oh.
Go on, Chris. You start.
No, you can go first. I was trying to find we both said the same thing at the same time. Go on, you go first.
I
Ben.
mean, what was the nature of the backlash again? Like, what were people angry about?
It was disenfranchising people who may not have documentation that is sufficient for these voter ID things, and I think it was also somewhat skewed because older people would have access to like their bus passes or retirement cards or whatever, whereas younger people didn't. So it was kind of against disenfranchising young people type shit.
Did most young people not carry voter ID or just any kind of ID?
I mean, if they're teetotal, then maybe not.
Why would you need to be teetotal to not have a driving license?
Well, because if you don't want to drive a car, and you don't need a like
I mean, one
a
thing
form
I
of
did
ID.
hear, like one argument that I did hear, was that for some people the whole voter ID thing, like, I heard that for some, like, I guess trans people, the whole voter ID thing was like there was some backlash there because on the ID it could be something different to what they identify as. So I heard some kind of
Ooh.
backlash about that. Like there was some kind of backlash there. That's the only backlash I heard about it though.
In Northern Ireland,
Ooh.
you've always had to have voter ID to be able to vote.
Uh-huh.
So to
Is that
me,
like a
I didn't
security thing?
yeah, I think it's probably just a lasting thing from the Troubles.
Yeah.
But I feel like to have that then spread to the rest of the UK is the first couple of cycles people might kick up a bit of a stink because it's new. But if anything, it's just bringing the UK into a singular policy.
Yeah.
I don't think, and most countries in Europe require you to have ID.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's too wild. And I don't know the numbers, but I don't expect that many people don't have ID they can carry. And if you don't have like a driving license or a passport, you can get stuff from your council.
Well, I feel like
pretty easily.
the people that were going to vote anyway probably have ID. Is what I think.
Yeah.
Like it. I don't see it impacting things very much.
And if you didn't have ID, you could get stuff from your council, a certificate to vote. So I feel like there was enough mitigation in place there that it wasn't too disenfranchising of people.
I think people want to turn. I think people love to turn anything into accusations of gerrymandering. To be honest,
The UK.
Yeah, that's what I thought your guys' opinions were, but I just wanted to check.
Because the UK is, let's be fair here, the UK is very ungerrymandered in the sense.
But that's good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it when certain, actually, especially in American politics, they're sort of almost bragging about gerrymandering. I don't like that.
In the US, the voters don't choose you; you choose your voters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas, I think
It is
the fairness and strength of your democracy, like, that should be seen to be something that's important.
So, if anyone doesn't know, in the UK, the constituency borders are determined by an independent, I don't know what you call it, like a commission.
Non-partisan.
Yeah, a non-partisan commission that draws up the constituencies, and the idea is that each constituency should have roughly the same number of people in.
Which is epic.
Which is why some constituencies in cities are very small, and then other ones in rural counties are huge, because there's just the population density is different.
I mean, I get, like... No, but TD, I suppose I, like, understood the argument with the gender identity thing, but other than that, I think that the people that were going to vote anyway probably have ID. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for me, as someone who is, like, a young person, and has, like... I still get told I look 17 on a not unregular basis.
Most people in the UK who are over 18...
I carry my ID.
Most people in the UK who are over 18 are going to have a fucking ID.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Just to be able to buy alcohol, and just in case the cops pull me over,
The cops? What are you? Unbelievable.
What would you rather say? The feds? I get criticism when I say
pigs.
the feds.
The pigs.
Yeah.
Call them the pigs.
What would you like me to say then, Clark?
The pigs.
The busies.
The rozzers.
Yeah.
The fez?
No, the rozzers.
No. It's not the fez, it's the fuzz.
The fuzz.
Fuzz, the busies, the rozzers.
Cops.
The NYPD.
No. The cops is American. You're not American.
The NYPD, the North Yorkshire Police Department.
They're coppers.
Yeah, coppers. That's what you call them here, TD.
Yeah, but you know what coppers. You know what short for coppers. Cops. Exactly.
Cops is American slang, and you know it.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It is.
That sounds really American to me.
You say bath, so like
you have a bath in Bath. You have a bath in Bath.
Yeah, no, you say
think
bath
you
because you pretend you're Northern.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Anyway,
I didn't know it was getting so personal.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Hen N Friends podcast.
Chris, you just gotta let him do the outro.
Clark, have you any last words?
No.
Oh.
Ben, do you have any last words? We'll take that silence as a no.
No, I do.
He's pleading the fifth.
Oh, okay.
I'm pleading the fifth.
Okay.
Black, white, all colours, all backgrounds. You know what I mean? Come on, man. That's my message.
How inclusive. I'm sure everyone it feels so included right now.
Gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot.
Yeah. Let 1,000 blossoms bloom.
Orchids.
But every 3 months, a man in North Queensland is turned to shreds by a crocodile. And on that note,
quote.
I have been.
You got to do it with the anger that he has. Like, it's just like he's so peaceful talking about like, oh, there 1,000 blossoms bloom, but I ain't gonna calm down wherever it is while there's still crocodiles eating people. Like the switch in his mind gets flipped.
But yeah, right. I have been
don't think
TD,
it's the
and this has been a Hen and Friends podcast. Piss, peace, piss, piss, peace,
Sir.
peace, piss for peace, 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 piss. Having a peaceful piss in the petunias, peacefully
kids.
pissing.
In the
Poor kids
pachinko.
are just
Piss.
Poor kids are just as smart as
Ooh.
white kids.
Come on, man.